Hey, it's the DETOUR. Today, I'm going to answer questions from roadies like you. Let's get into it. For Kyle, when are you hoping to make YouTube and streaming a full-time job for yourself? I will say this, that out of the two, that streaming is not really something that I want. I don't want to have to be online every single day. I prefer to make content and then upload it when I want to or on a schedule. I will say that as for right now, this is just a hobby. I've seen the analytics, I know how things perform, and there's really no way that this could sustain me. Plus two, it's kind of terrifying because you don't know how YouTube is going to change and then all of a sudden your stuff can't make money anymore. So the thought of going full-time is something that scares me very much. I know that Eric has been able to do it and it's been awesome, but it's just something that for me personally, I would need a lot of assurance that I could sustain myself and my family to be able to do so. Nevertheless, I'm getting to be creative. I get to make videos like this and I get to just brainstorm new creative things and think about what I want to do next, which by the way, this actually is a question for you guys. I thought about making the scary stories available on Spotify and seeing if that maybe catches them a little more. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. You're an immortal and have the snail chasing you always. The snail? Like there's like an actual just the snail? Is it big? Is it small? That's kind of scary. What place would you go and hide to get away from said snail? This is a very creative question. So I'm going to assume that this snail is very moderately sized. Maybe it's something that, you know, I could accidentally step on, or maybe it's something that I wouldn't notice if it was there. But if it's chasing me and if it has malicious intent, then the best place to go, I think, would be like a penthouse apartment. You just rent one every couple of months and it'll never catch up to you. You always take another way that's not the entrance. You go out the fire escape. Like, yeah, it's going to be scary, but that snail's never going to get you. What would you like to ask Ronnie if you got to meet him? I would shamelessly be that creepy guy that asks to just sit in his studio sessions and just watch him. I'm a huge behind the scenes guy and getting to enjoy things like that, to see how the sausage is made, and it's just incredible. Like that is something that I want to be able to experience. So Ronnie, if you're listening, that'd be kind of a fun thing. You want to do it? Let's figure it out. I'll document it. Even if it's only for myself. Now that just sounds creepy. Moving on, if you could eat any meal from a fantasy movie, anime, book, show, series, etc., what would it be and why? First and foremost, I want to try Hogwarts food. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get to experience the Great Hall and just get every single meal in a beautifully crafted way. Honestly, too, I'd love to try butterbeer. I've heard that there's ways to make it seem like it's similar to the book or the movies, but to actually be in that universe and get to try it, oh man, I've always wanted the butterbeer to touch my lips and just purify my soul. Now, I don't know if anybody else has done this, but whenever my root beer floats have melted and they've become almost that froth, I've always kind of imagined that was butterbeer. I don't know why. Like I would purposefully wait for it to melt when I was a kid and go, now I'm having a butterbeer, but I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but at least I tricked myself into thinking so. I'm curious to know what either of your life aspirations are. I'll make sure I give this question to Eric as well too, because maybe he'll do his own question videos one day. But definitely my biggest aspiration in life when it comes to creativity would have to be finishing the movie that I want to make. I've written a script that I actually found out recently is deleted and gone due to a hard drive malfunction, so I'm essentially starting over again, but I have the ideas down. I'm just working on actually making all of them flow together and having it be a cohesive thing. Ultimately, what I want to do is eternal horror. I want to break rules. I want to make people uncomfortable. I want them to learn things about faith that maybe that they haven't thought about before. And I also want to question some things and throw it out there and basically see what happens. As a young filmmaker, I always wanted to make rated R Christian films because I felt that there were very serious messages that needed to be surrounded by reality. And that's essentially what the story is, but it's also very sacrilegious in a lot of ways, which I can't explain here, otherwise I'll spoil it. But my biggest life aspiration is that I want to be able to make the movie that I think is impossible to make. So we'll see. What are your top 3 favorite movies and why? Jurassic Park, 110%. That's actually on these TVs quite a bit, and I would argue that it's actually been on our TVs recently than it has in my childhood, which is pretty wild. It's so great to have somebody that you can nerd out with. But as far as like my favorite films with like filmmaking and excellence, I would definitely have to say Fight Club and Limitless. There was a period of time where I actually watched Limitless every day for like a month, and I just never got tired of it. I still have it on physical copy, and I'll even own it on digital copy. I love that movie so much. Do you think that the person that you are today is the truest version of yourself, or are you still searching for who you're meant to be? What parts of you feel real and what parts feel like they were shaped by others? This is a really awesome question, and I would like to think that I'm the best version of myself now, but ultimately we're human, and I'm not the best version of myself. There's still things I'm working on, and I will say that I've healed a lot, and there's been so much progress and so much love brought into my life. But in the same hand is that we're always trying to fix new things, whether it's work out more, whether it's, learning more, or if it's being productive in ways that we haven't been before, or, like my driving vlog I did recently where it was setting my coffee every night to wake up the next morning. There's just always ways to improve, and I'm always looking for those ways to improve. As far as this second question, what parts of you feel real and what parts feel like they were shaped by others? Honestly, I think that everything molds us. I think that it explains the things that we love. I think it explains the things that we dig, the things that we're afraid of. I remember being a kid and being with my friend Sammy and her showing me Slipknot for the very first time. And without that, I never would have gone down the road I have to be a metalhead. So I would say that there's been a lot of molding in my life, whether it's creatively or if it's, having leadership in my life of people that genuinely care about me and people that have steered me on the right path or have, knocked me in the head whenever I've needed it. I would say that there's so much molding happening. And I think that if you pay attention to the good stuff, then that's when you're going to become the best version of yourself that you can be. But there's always room to improve. Always. Oh, Jason. He's a friend of ours in real life. If your music or YouTube channels didn't exist, what would you be doing creatively, or what would life look like outside of where you work? This is such a hard question to answer, but I think that if I had to choose, just like the idea of, what would I do if I didn't have my techie stuff or didn't have my editing software? I'd have to find a way to be creative that was very hands-on. Like I'd probably get into wood carving or some kind of physical thing that I can tangibly do to be able to see my progress. Because I will say this is that the creative aspect of things are very interesting, is that when you make music, you don't have a physical thing to look at, but it's all audible. And there's something interesting about, did my fingers really do that? Did I really think of that melody? Did I really hum that? And it's a different way to take that in, but physically you can show people, and it's an ambient thing. And I think that that's probably what I would get into. I would get into something that's just physical and hands-on, that I can manipulate or mold something into something that I want it to be, because there's just something so beautiful about the way that people carve things. I will say this is that film has become such a part of my life that it's very difficult to think about what it would be like without it. So man, that's really wild. Thanks, Jason. What is something true that nobody agrees with you on? Oh man, this is gonna get me into a lot of trouble. There's two answers that I can give. Is that one, that Bigfoot is real. So many people I've met have been against this, and it's never caused fights or anything, but I'm not like somebody that will go out and explore and see if Bigfoot is real. But to me, I think that anything is possible. So to have an unidentified species that lives near a cave system of some kind that's inside of a forest, then yeah, I think that it's very possible. For me, Bigfoot is real. Bigfoot is truth. But for other people, it's not. So people don't like that one. The thing that I would say that is serious is that, that there's so much division amongst us, and that, your party system doesn't identify you as a human, and that you should focus on things locally and not look at it globally. We're in a world of deception. We're in a world where there is a machine that is running, and people are going to do whatever they want to be able to push their narrative and to make people angry and to make people divided. And it's just, I don't know, to me, it's something that I don't waste my time on. I don't like having conversations about politics. I don't like when people bring it up at the dinner table. I don't like it when people have, a preconceived notion about me that I'm a Democrat or a Republican. I think that's something that we need to focus on, is that we genuinely want to be able to be around people because we want to be around them, not for who they voted for in the last election. When I die, none of that will matter. It won't matter who I voted for or didn't. To me, I think that I try to view things in a very eternal way. What am I going to do now to show the people that are around me that I love them? And that's really what I try to focus on. But there's a lot of people that won't agree with that. So I would say, yeah, so what is something true that nobody agrees with you on? That's where I'm landing on that. Finishing off, would you rather go scuba diving or skydiving? Man, what is it with people trying to throw the ocean at me? Next thing they're going to ask me is if I want to be in a coffin or a smaller coffin. Man, honestly, skydiving. The only time I would go scuba diving is if I knew for a fact that I was in a crystal clear part of the water where it was not deep and there were only small fish around me, and there better not be any kind of sharks or anything around me that can hurt me. But right now I'm gonna have to say skydiving, because dude, I fucking hate the ocean. The ocean is terrifying. It is the worst thing in the world. It is like, there is so much of the ocean that we don't know and we haven't looked at yet, and we're not even sure what all is out there. It's, oh God, we have to end the video here. Nope. So before I have a panic attack about this, I'm gonna end this video. If you guys like this type of video, ask your own question in the comments below. It might get answered. You never know. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Adios.